Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from Arizona Central published on March 28th by Rafael Carranza. Now it says he's from the Arizona Republic, so I don't know if this was in the Arizona Republic as well. But anyway, Border Patrol begins releasing migrant families on the streets of Yuma. Yeah, there's no crisis, there's no issues at the border, there's nothing going on according to the left and the Democrats. Yet, there are so many people showing up that now they're just literally releasing illegals on the streets of this country. To me, they should be deporting them the second. You didn't ask for asylum in Mexico and you're from, Guatemala or whatever country you crossed into. Guess what? You're going home. Fuck you. That's how it should be. And I'm sorry if I sound like an asshole for that, but that's how the law is pretty much written. U.S. Border Patrol officials in Arizona said they have started releasing migrant families from their custody into the streets of Yuma because processing centers can't cope with the large numbers of arriving families and minors. Yes, because there's an actual crisis at the border with all these illegals just showing up expecting to be able to come into this goddamn country. And because of the left and their spurging bullshit, that's what they've managed to be able to be doing at this point. Because if Trump actually enforced the laws where they did, they'd go to the Ninth Circus, and the Ninth Circus would go, that's not how the law is written, even though that's how the law is written. Thank God he got the $1 billion through the Pentagon to start building a wall, and it's going down there, and they're building actual new sections of goddamn fucking wall. Because that is just a major victory for Trump. It's him also following through on his promise to the American people about building a wall. A wall that we need, clearly. Community groups in the Yuma area have set up temporary facilities to house the families and to provide food and shelter while they assist migrants with travel plans to leave the border city. Oh, so they're going to help them leave the fucking city and go off and disappear into the United States. Let's call it what it is. The Border Patrol issued a statement Thursday announcing its decision, which followed the lead of officials in the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas, who last week began releasing families from their custody. Yeah, and you know what's messed up? You can go look this up. They ran out of the ankle bracelets, so they're just letting these people go without any way to track them. Telling them, go off, yeah, have fun. U.S. Border Patrol processing centers are not designed to house the current numbers of families and small children that we are encountering, the Border Patrol's Yuma sector said in a written statement. Due to capacity issues at our stations and ongoing humanitarian crisis nationwide, Border Patrol has begun identifying detainees for potential release in Yuma with a notice to appear for the immigration hearings. And how many of them are actually going to show up? 10% if they're lucky, which is like the average right now. This is ridiculous. In a news conference on Thursday afternoon, Kyle Landrum, the Yuma Sector Deputy Chief, explained Border Patrol made the decision as a dramatic surge of migrant families and minors overwhelmed their resources and holding spaces. So you know what? You revolving door them back. It's that fucking simple. Revolving door them back. They're not entitled to come to this country. They did not follow international law when seeking asylum by going to the first country they entered. No, they went through 3 or 4 fucking countries to show up at the United States. Revolving door them back. It's really that simple. According to the latest government statistics, in the first 5 months of the fiscal year, agents in Yuma have apprehended 17,578 migrants traveling as a family. As a family. That's a lot of people. By contrast, in the same time period last year, they encountered 5,319 migrants. That's a 330% increase and does not include rising numbers of unaccompanied minors and other single adult migrants. Yes, which there's a shit ton of them. The sector is on track to apprehend a total of 60,000 migrants. Landrum said, that's a lot of freaking migrants, but there's no crisis. Go figure. Those are the highest levels since 2007, when the installation of additional border fencing began to reduce the number of migrants crossing through Yuma. Yeah, what does that tell you? Walls work. Landrum added, the sector has the capacity to hold 400 migrants at its processing center and 3 patrol stations in the sector, but that the facilities were designed to hold single adults for short periods. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll just revolving door these people who are never going to go to court. Yeah. When they should, into the country, as opposed to revolving door them back to their own damn country because they never seeked asylum according to international law in the first country they showed up at. That gives us legal grounds to just say, fuck you. See ya. Don't care. Go home. We'll give you a plane ticket. We'll put you on a plane. Get you the fuck out of here. Oh, and by the way, you will have a meal on that flight because we're nice like that. With a vast majority of apprehensions consisting of Central American families and minors claiming asylum, they cannot be deported right away, so they remain in custody longer. Which, that shouldn't be the case. There's no difference. I don't care if they're families or if it's a single person showing up. Revolving door them back to their goddamn country. Every other country does that shit. Why should we be any different? I mean, unless you're talking, Western Europe, because they just let all these people come in from, North Africa and the Middle East going, oh, they're asylum seekers when they were all young single males. They're children, women and children, young single males, in their 20s and 30s claiming they're 15 years old. Yeah. Oh, God. That's why they decided to begin releasing families, he said. Those eligible for release are migrant families who are released into the custody of relatives living in the United States and who have undergone medical screenings. Okay, now, what about those relatives? Are the relatives legal? That's a good question to be asking. It'll continue right now. There's not an end date established, he said, about the release in Yuma. Until we can actually maintain the capacity, we've been over capacity about 200% for the past 2 years. Okay, well, that denotes a crisis. Instead of letting people just freely roam around this country, send them back and build a wall. Real easy solution. Temporary facilities to house migrants. Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols also talked about the impact of these releases during Thursday's news conference. He said the Border Patrol could release up to 200 migrants into his community each day. That's a lot of fucking people per day in one town or one city. The decision prompted nonprofit groups in the Yuma area to create a plan of action for a humanitarian response, he said. That plan included opening temporary facilities to house migrants and help them arrange for transportation after the release. Let's call them what they are, illegals. To help illegals gain further access deeper into this country. Jesus Christ. Can't call a spade anymore. You can't be blunt. You can't be honest. You got to sugarcoat stuff and use newspeak. Because heaven forbid you actually call an illegal an illegal. But that effort has limitations, Nichols said. The full capacity of the nonprofit groups in Yuma cannot address the full volume of migrants, should the volume increase as projected, he warned. Yeah, and they're just going to be letting, when the volume increases on the note of people coming in, they're just going to release more people into the United States. This shit has got to stop. Tell the left to get bent. Real simple. Tell them to get bent. The laws are this. Deal with it. You don't like the laws? Change them. Normally, once the Border Patrol apprehends migrants, the agency is legally obligated to detain them for no more than 72 hours and then transfer them into the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Yeah. Works for me. Then they can be deported after that 72 hours. Immigration officials either would keep them in detention for longer periods of time, or in the case of migrant families, release them into the custody of relatives living in the United States and give them a notice to appear in court later. Which they shouldn't be doing that because less than 10% actually fucking shows up. It's a revolving door. They're going to go and disappear. They're going to commit crimes like identity theft and, things like that, and collect services that they're not supposed to collect, like, on the note of, say, free shit, and be a burden on taxpayers. But in the past few months, the drastic surge of migrant families in southwestern Arizona has overwhelmed border agents as well as immigration officers. It's been more than a few months, but okay. The sheer volume of family units crossing the border has overwhelmed ICE's limited transportation resources, a spokeswoman, Yasmin Pitts O'Keefe, said in a statement. Combined with the requirement to detain these individuals for no more than 20 days, the agency has no option but to expeditiously arrange for their release. No, deport them. It's really that fucking simple. They didn't follow international law. They did not ask for asylum in the first country they reached the border of, that they crossed into. They did not do that. That means that we have no legal obligation to offer them asylum or hear their asylum claims. Kick them the fuck out, send them back home, end of story. And I might sound like an asshole, and I really don't give a shit if you think I sound like an asshole. The law is the law, okay? Without borders and without enforcing of a law, you do not have a country. And I like this country, and I would like to see it remain intact. O'Keefe confirmed that even though the Border Patrol has begun to release some families, immigration officials are still taking other migrant families into their custody. In October, ICE officials in Arizona made a similar decision when they announced they no longer would help arrange travel plans for migrant families released into the care of relatives. Well, heaven forbid, we should also friggin' make the arrangements for them to get to their families' houses where they're just going to meet up with their family members and then fucking disappear. Give me a break. ICE officials began releasing families into the streets of Yuma, overwhelming the only shelter for migrants in the city. Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona stepped in and began housing migrants in a hotel while it helped arrange transportation despite limited options. ICE's decision was met with backlash from local elected and community officials. Then Senator John Kyle, Republican Arizona, also intervened, sending a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Christian Nielsen to pressure them for a better solution, because there should be a better solution than just releasing these people into the United States when they did not even follow the friggin' international law regarding asylum, went through 2, 3, 4, 5 countries, and then show up here and go, I want asylum. Revolving door and back home when they're doing that. She visited the Yuma area in late October. After her visit, ICE agreed to transport those families to Phoenix and Tucson instead. This is ridiculous. It really is. Yuma Mayor asks for help. Yuma Mayor Nichols said he also reached out to fellow Republicans, including Governor Doug Ducey and U.S. Senator Martha McSally, to pressure the federal government to take action to mitigate these releases. Yes, because they shouldn't be releasing people that have come into this country illegally into this country once they have them in custody. That could include allocating additional resources to ICE and Border Patrol, as well as a FEMA-type response to handle the releases of individuals and to provide judges to help facilitate legal proceedings that reduce the flow of migrants, Nichols said. You mean illegals? On Wednesday, McSally sent a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Christian Nielsen expressing her concern about the release of families with little advance warning in Yuma, Phoenix, and Tucson. Well, how about you voice concern for them being released, period, because they should not be released. Just allowed to run, openly, willy-nilly throughout the United States. They already broke the law to come here. Do you think that they're going to follow the law and risk getting sent back? Of course not. They're not going to do that. They're not going to follow the law. They're just not going to show up. And you know how I know they're not going to show up? Because it's a pattern that's been going on for quite some time, for many years, with this catch and release bullshit. People in Phoenix, Yuma, and throughout Arizona are facing massive financial, public safety, and humanitarian costs from an immigration crisis that they had no part in creating, she said in the letter. We need to do better to reduce the burden imposed on them. Well, that would be easy. Revolving door them back to their fucking countries because they couldn't follow international law on the note of asylum, which they knew if they did, they wouldn't be able to come here and collect free shit. This isn't about asylum. This is about them collecting free shit while working illegally under the table so that they can make money, not pay taxes on it, and send a large chunk of it at home while they're living off of the rest of us. Jesus Christ. Revolving door them back home. Solve the problem right there. In an interview with Phoenix radio station KTAR FM, I'm assuming that's what KTAR is, Ducey also criticized the Border Patrol and ICE for releasing families in Arizona with little advance warning, saying he had an upcoming call to discuss the issue. Should be more than discuss. Be like, hey, asshole, stop releasing people into my state, you know? Or my city. The first thing we need to do is make sure that our federal government starts to better communicate with our state government so that we can have a heads up of what is happening, how we can be helpful and what we can do, he said. Or to tell you to go get bent and fuck off on releasing these illegals into my community. That's what if I was the mayor, that's what I would do. I'd be like, no. Listen to me. I'm going to say it slowly and I'm going to enunciate it very clearly. And I'm going to make it so that you can read my lips and go, get bent. Go fuck yourself. And you know what's funny is these people are getting released into, clearly a Republican area. Democrats want them so bad, bus them to California. Bus them right to L.A. Fine by me. Bus them right into L.A., bus them right into Seattle. Bus them right into Portland. Fine by me. San Francisco, bus them in. Fuck, send them to Detroit. Then they'll go home. Actually, even better, send every one of these motherfuckers to Detroit. Every last one of these motherfuckers. Telling me you want to come in this country? You gotta go live in Detroit. They go see how Detroit is. They go, shit, conditions are better back in home. And they'll just self-deport themselves. That sounds good to me. Send every last one of these assholes to Detroit. They'll spend a week there and go, this place is a shithole. This place makes my village look like it's friggin' first world. I'm getting the fuck out of here. To me, that sounds like a good idea. Possibility for a solution. I mean, to me, that just, yeah. State Rep Tim Dunn, Republican Yuma, who represents the area in the Arizona legislature, followed in Ducey's footsteps. Yuma and other border cities simply don't have the resources to handle an influx of migrants released into the community, Dunn said in a statement. It is unbelievable that Border Patrol is putting both the migrants and the communities in this situation. Yeah, like I said, send them to Detroit. Democrats want them so bad. They need so many Democrat voters in Detroit, so that they can stuff the ballot boxes even more than when it was found out during the recount. Shit, send them to Detroit. Like I said, they'll spend a week there and they'll self-deport going, fuck me, this place is a shithole. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Even worse, this policy is likely to motivate even more migrants to cross the border. Exactly. That's exactly what it will do. And I love how they wait until the end to put that fact there. Because they know it's true. Oh, well, they're just revolving dooring us into the country? Well, shit, let's just show up. The emergency on the border has escalated to a crisis situation that will continue to cause a run on our southern border, he said. Yes, it will. It will do just that. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're at a point where you've got the left in the legacy media and in politics with the Democrats going, there's no crisis at the border, but they're literally revolving door people because there's such a crisis at the border. So clearly the Democrats want that when they're going, oh, nothing to see here. There's no crisis. I don't know what you're talking about. And this doesn't get general coverage. You don't see CNN talking about this shit going on. You don't see MSNBC talking about this shit going on. I mean, they got plenty of time now that the Mueller investigation's over and they've literally got nothing to talk about because of no longer having the Trump bump. I mean, I've said ridiculous enough. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.